Hello, everyone. We are another nerdy couple, and we just watched the craziest episode of WandaVision so far. It was 40 minutes, well, 30 minutes, kind of, if you take away the credits, of just like heart-wrenching and so many things being revealed, and like now the show is moving.
Yeah,
fast.
it was just gut punch after gut punch. Like
Right.
I was just like,
Yeah.
literally eyes
Right.
so wet. Like we just finished watching the episode.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
But before we get into the real heartbreaking stuff, I want to talk about some of the interesting things that Agnes said throughout the episode. Most of them kind of happening in the beginning.
yeah, her early on stuff.
The first thing she said was that I have a few tricks up my sleeve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with all the theories of her being some type of powered person, right? Is she a witch? Is she working with Mephisto type thing? Like, this is still in line with her being more than what she seems,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And still on the board, they don't have an ID for her, so she's still an unknown person. So there was that. What else did she say?
Oh, she said, "Do you want to take that again?"
Oh,
Yeah. So I was like, "Excuse me, what?"
Yeah.
Like she looked straight at Wanda
Right.
and is like, "Do you want to take that again?" And then she's like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then she goes, "You wanted me to hold the babies, right?
Mhm.
Like, do you want to take that again?" Because,
Right.
like, Vision was like, "Oh, did you wash your hands? Maybe next time, and was like, "No, Agnes, don't grab the babies."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, Wanda, are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Run it again? I can
Yeah.
go back out, start it from the top."
Right.
And she was saying, like, all these things.
Yeah.
And we're just like,
Yeah.
And then Vision is like, "Wanda, what was that?" And then she goes, "What are you
Exactly.
talking about?"
No.
Oh, whole thing.
I know. And oh my goodness. I just can't. I can't believe this episode.
Yeah. Another one that she said that was good was, like, I don't know her exact words,
Yeah.
but it was like, kids, you can't control
Yeah,
them
kids,
no
you
matter
can't
how
control
hard
them.
you try.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because, like, earlier on I took note of, like, when they were babies,
Right.
she tried to sleep them. And I was like, they're
Yeah.
magic resistant.
Yeah.
And, like, so, like, she's like, you can't control these babies. And I think that's
Right.
interesting, too. And, like, she was just saying it like, kids,
Yeah.
but these kids.
Yeah. So something that was pointed out in a video that we had watched earlier that still remains true. Agnes talks about her husband Ralph.
Never
We
seen him.
still have never seen him, right? And now I have two theories. Before I only had one, that he was an evil person. Two, he could be dead. Because of the way that Agnes reacted later on in the episode about something that we'll get to.
Yeah.
And this episode was much more jumping back and forth between
Which I
reality and the TV show, which was incredible. And
Yeah.
they took an interesting approach with, I forget his name, but the director of Sword,
Oh,
right?
okay.
That that his view of Wanda is very different than our view, because to us she's a superhero, like there's nothing about it. But she was radicalized when she was 10 years old. And, like, yes, she was an Avenger, but for how long, right? What are her
Yeah.
true motives?
And it was
she
like,
blew up this building. And,
Yeah, and he was like, she fought the Avengers. And,
Right.
And so I'm a little torn on him because I don't know if it's he doesn't like Wanda or if he
Right.
doesn't like superheroes.
Yeah.
Because he was mentioning, like, a bunch of the things that led to the Sokovia Accords as, like, things that were wrong with Wanda.
Right.
And so I think that it's possible that he's, like, anti-hero,
That is true.
but definitely anti-Wanda.
Something that just kind of clicked with me right now is that Wanda and her brother became radicalized after the death of her parents.
Mm-hmm.
She had just experienced the death of her brother and of Vision. Who knows what could happen to her now? She was already susceptible to that type of thing before.
Yeah.
That, like, what she might have become unhinged, or maybe to him, she could never be trusted. And, like, honestly, if I was a person living in that world, I don't know if I would trust Wanda, like, as a normal citizen, be like, I don't know if I trust that Scarlet Witch girl,
Yeah.
Like, she just came onto the scene and now she's cool. Like, I don't know, man,
Yeah. I don't know, but, like, why trust any of them?
Well, Captain America has never done wrong. He defeated the Nazis. Iron Man saved the whole universe.
Yeah, but before that, he was a weapons dealer.
Yeah. But, like, none of them were villains before. She was a villain.
Not to Wanda.
No, not to Wanda, but to the Avengers.
But I'm saying, like, none of them were villains before, and I go not to Wanda, because Tony was 100% a villain to her.
Yeah. I guess. But, you know, to us.
Well, we got him at the beginning of his hero.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go.
That I was just wanted to point out that Wanda is becoming much more brazen and comfortable with just using her magic whenever, because like there's no more facade for her, and she just wants to be herself, and she wants Vision to be himself, and she's like, you know, like I don't care anymore. Like I want to be me. This is my home. Yeah. Really, her whole place that she created, and I'm not hiding myself anymore.
Yeah, and like going off that too, like. You're controlling the people anyways.
Right, so like, it doesn't matter. But she had to do that to keep up the facade for Vision.
Yeah.
You know? And, well, you know, she's losing control of that whole charade.
Yeah, that's true. One thing that I wanted to bring out was that she stole Vision's body 9 days ago.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to think of, like, the timing of things, but they kind of made it clear at the end of this episode that it's each, or, like, throughout the episode, that each episode we see is, like, one day in their life.
Yeah.
And so even though we see it and it goes through multiple days, that's just one day. So we've seen... 4 days, 5 days, 4 days, because the last episode we didn't really watch a video.
Yeah.
So we've seen 4 days of this show of like her life, and so that means there were 5 days unaccounted for. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, but you know that her stealing his body proves the theory, if you can even call it a theory. It was basically just like an unspoken truth that she's reanimating his corpse. Yeah. And that's just it now. Like that's simply a fact now. Yeah. And it's so
it makes
unnerving.
Me so uncomfortable.
And it defies Vision's living will, is what they said. And as we can see with how he reacts throughout the episode, when he starts to understand more of what's going on, he's angry. He doesn't know why he's angry, but he's angry, and it's because he doesn't want to be brought back to life. You know, he died, and that's it.
Yeah, and I think, too, going off of that part of, like, his living will and stuff was that he didn't want to be used as a weapon. Yeah. And so I wonder if Vision's body is somehow helping...
Maybe, like the creation of
the whole
hex.
World. Yeah. And so I wonder if that's a thing.
Right.
And also, Vision's also upset simply because of all the people that are being controlled. Right. Like, he's starting to realize what's actually going on.
Exactly.
And, like, we get that moment where he wakes up Norm.
Oh, my goodness.
That broke my heart.
That was the first of many times.
That I was just like, ugh.
He's like, I gotta call my sister. Where's my family?
Yeah,
Where's
my
mom
phone? Was sick. Yeah. Like, there was so much going on in Norm's life.
And he's immediately frantic. Right? And he's like, it hurts. I'm terrified. All this stuff.
Yeah. He starts talking about, like, how it feels. Oh, shoot. I didn't write it down. But, that he's just in pain and it hurts.
She's in his head. And well, Monica described it as excruciating.
Yeah, and she said when she went in, she felt pain, she heard Wanda's voice, and she felt hopelessness and grief.
Yeah.
Which is just rough.
What Wanda's feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that was the first one. And that was a whole weird thing because, you know,
right before
Darcy sent an email.
Yeah, right before Darcy sends an email, and then Norm's trying to, like, ha ha, and he literally says, it's a joke, can't you tell? None of it is real.
Yeah.
And that hit Vision, just like it hit me, and I was like, ah. Oh, and so he, like, touches him, and he comes back.
Yeah.
And, you know, the whole thing.
And then on the outside world, they kind of put together that, oh, you know what? We can send things in that are supposed to be there in the time era of the TV show. So they send in an 80s era drone, right?
That was good.
An 80s era drone, and Monica is piloting it, and you know she's got the voice, and they get to Wanda's house, And she's like, Wanda, like, you know, what's going on or whatever. You know, it's
Yeah.
Monica Rambeau.
I just
want to
talk.
Right. And then the director of S.W.O.R.D., he's like, take the shot. And she's like, what? It's not armed, you know? And then she has no more control over the thing. And then the dude next to her is like, what? And he's like, take the shot. And he's like, boom. And we assume it shoots a rocket.
Yeah, he said the
camera
missile
feed.
was, oh my gosh. The missile was a precaution, I think was what he said.
Yeah. And the feed cuts out, and then they're like, we have a breach. So everyone dips to the area of the breach, and they got their sights on it, and then you just see the silhouette of Wanda, and you can just tell that she's pissed.
Oh yeah.
And I was scared for anything that was in that area for what was gonna go on. 'Cause what was she like when she was walking out to you?
No, yeah, she was coming out. She was like fierce, you know, like she was angry. And she comes out and she's got the drone in her hand.
Right.
She's coming out and she flings the drone at them and goes, I think this is yours.
Yeah.
And, you know, all this stuff. And she looks at Monica and she goes, oh, you're still here?
And then she
gets
her magic ball going.
It was so good.
Yeah.
And then they have this whole conversation.
Right, like, I want to help you.
And she's like, what can you give me? And then she was like, I'll give you anything. And she's like, I already have what I want, and no one's ever going to take it away from me again. And she like mind controls all the guards, and they all turn their guns to the director. And then Monica like, no, Wanda, don't do it, you know?
Yeah.
And then as Wanda gets to like the hex wall, she does one of these. It releases the people with the guns.
Right.
And like she goes through, but you can see like the red radiating through the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, no one's going in there
like,
now.
If
Like
you go
nothing's
in there, you die,
going in. You
right?
know? Like it's just getting obliterated.
That's like an
as it
electric
goes through.
fence or whatever, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And then after that, it's mostly inside of WandaVision TV show realm.
Yeah.
And wow. So we get there, and you know the dog that the boys had ran away, but Agnes found it, but it got into some poisonous berries for dogs, and it died, right?
Yeah.
And they're saying, Mom, just fix it, and she's like, I can't, whatever, you can't just do this.
They said fix dead.
Fix dead. And then that's when Agnes is like, well, you can do that? So that's why I think her husband is dead.
That's good, yeah.
Or something like that. Or maybe
that was Agnes being like, are you actually doing this with Vision? Like,
okay.
Are you fixing it so that you can leave here, you know?
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't know. But she says fix that, and she gives the boys like this whole big pep talk about like, oh, grief happens. It's okay. And we're all like, you know, listen to yourself, lady.
And then Vision just happens to show up at that time, and then he comforts the boys, and then they go back home, right?
Yeah.
And now Vision is just washing his hands, and, you know, Wanda's trying to have a normal conversation with him. And he lets her know, he's like, listen, I had a conversation with Norman. And she's like,
okay,
whatever. And he's like, I removed your influence on him, and I had a conversation with Norman.
Yeah, he said with his suppressed personality.
Right. Yeah.
I go, yeah.
And, you know, he tells her about how he's in pain and he's scared and he has a family. How could you do this? These are real people. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about, sweetie. This is just Westview.
Yeah, and like he even says like, oh, you want us to sit down on the couch and watch TV so that you can change everything before tomorrow, whatever, blah blah blah, and all this stuff. And he's like angry.
Yeah.
And then the conversation gets cut because of the doorbell.
Well, before that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
He says something like, You can't just do that, right? Or you can't just walk away. And she says, "Can't I?" And as she's exiting the kitchen,
you can't control me like you control them.
Right. And she says, "Can't I?" And then as she's exiting the kitchen, the credits start rolling. But then that's when they get into their heated argument, and Vision starts yelling at her, and now the credits stop rolling, and like I was scared, right?
Yeah.
I'm like. they are fighting.
Yeah,
like,
she said, "You've never talked to me like that
Right.
before," and then that's when he even gets even madder. He's like,
Right.
"Before what?"
Right.
Because I can't remember anything before Westview, and she's
Exactly.
like, "But what?" Do you, he was like, "Who am I?" Or like, not who am I?
I
but
can't
he was
remember
like,
my life.
I can't remember my life, and she
Yeah.
goes, "You're my husband. You're Tommy and Billy's dad. Isn't
Right.
that enough?"
Yeah.
And like, I don't think he said no, but he was like, "No, it's not," you know.
And then they're sitting on the couch, and before the doorbell rings, he this one hurt us the most. He says, "Every day that I walk to work, there's a playground and the swings are empty. There's no kids. Wanda, why are there no kids?"
Why are there no kids? And here's my theory for why there are no kids. Because earlier in the episode, when they're talking about the clothes and stuff, it said that she's rewriting reality. So she's taking what exists and changing it. So that's why Monica's clothes were made of Kevlar when she came out. I think she used all the children to make her boys.
Maybe.
I think she used the children to make her boys.
Oh my God, that's so much more theoretical and powerful than what I thought. I thought she just killed them all because like she couldn't deal with them for some reason. I had nothing. You got something, man.
Yeah.
You got something up in the... Oh, I didn't even hear that before. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to that Kevlar thing. Like, I knew that was important.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah, I think that's how she's making the children. I think she used them. And then that also goes back to, like, the whole for the children and how, like, they were, like, everything for the children. And so they gave their children for her children. Is what I think. Also,
oh my.
She recast Pietro.
Dude, okay, that...
Which is hilarious and I love it.
In a whole slew of us just getting punched by this show. What a great way to kind of incorporate the mutants, because, you know, they were Fox, now Disney has them.
Yeah.
And it's just
which also means that this show probably is going to have lasting effects.
Yeah.
In that, like, it really will, like, he will be Pietro after this.
I think he will be real, yeah.
Yeah, which is also kind of weird. And, like, did this guy live in Westview? Or, like, how did we get him? Because, like I said, she's not making things out of nothing.
Right.
She's recoding everything.
Yeah.
Which is why they could send in the 80s stuff, because she didn't have to recode it.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
I
did not expect you to hit me with that, with such evidence right off the cuff.
For the children.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's what I think. Let me know what you think. Drop it in the comments. Like this video. Subscribe so you see the next one. I'm gonna go cry. Thanks for watching. Bye.